Cousins wanted money after their father died, but are getting slapped with realith instead. My uncle was diagnosed with colon cancer about a year ago, and this past month, he has been bedridden. My aunt has been taking really good care of him despite being mostly blind, having onset Alzheimer's, and shaking due to other neurological issues. My cousins, Kevin and Karen, in the meantime, have been draining their parents' bank accounts, overdrawing them, and even making my aunt drain the rest of her 401k to buy a car for Karen. My aunt and uncle's bills are now months behind, and now utilities and phones are being shut off. Aunt finally called her two sisters, Bea and Lynn, to see if they could help because she felt like she was drowning. Bea and Lynn discovered the overwhelming pigsty Aunt has been living in. Her fridge was empty, and Kevin was not helping with the cleaning or bills, but he was helping send their bank accounts into a high negative, while complaining that his mother doesn't help around the apartment. Bea and Lynn, on the other hand, cleaned the apartment over the span of 2 weeks, paid most of their bills, filled their fridge with food, and cooked meals for Aunt, Uncle, and Kevin. 1 week ago, Uncle fell into a coma, and the doctors told the family to keep giving him medicine to be comfortable until he passes. And here is where Set starts to hit the fan. Karen starts telling Aunt that she is owed $42,000 because that is the amount Karen gave to Aunt and Uncle to help them with bills. And this is why I didn't have the wedding I originally wanted, and hit her mother, causing a black eye. Kevin decided to take out several payday loans over the course of the year and tell his mother that she owes him this money because he had to get the loans for them. He owes more than $30,000. Aunt was distraught with her children and the thought of losing her husband and calls me, her niece, to see if I can help her with anything. A visit, see the state of my uncle in a coma, hear what my cousins are doing, and decide to start filing all the legal paperwork to become her power of attorney, living trust, living will, and executor of will. Essentially being fully in control of my aunt's life, finances, and being in charge of how she lives the rest of her life and how she wants her things, money distributed after passing. Fun part is, Kevin and Karen don't know about this because Aunt doesn't want them to know yet. Since I appreciate my aunt wanting to tell them at an opportune moment, I made sure to call Adult Protective Services on Karen for hitting my aunt and Kevin and Karen for elder financial abuse. Unfortunately, Uncle lost his battle to cancer this past Friday, and not even an hour after his death. Kevin and Karen are asking about Uncle's 401k and his life insurance policy. Karen was screaming at Aunt, saying that she is entitled to this money along with Kevin. I, on the other hand, am amping up my protective petty self and found out that Karen's car is actually under Aunt's name and have filed a report to the police to go get my aunt's car because it was illegally taken. I already have a buyer for the car in as-is condition. I told another family member to take my uncle's car and sell it for my aunt to help with the money issue she has right now. My family and I are going to be moving Aunt away from her toxic children, but I'll have to give an update later on that. This Friday is when I get to tell Kevin and Karen that they aren't getting any money, and I'm going to start a lawsuit against them if they look at, access, or try to use Aunt's bank account again. I feel bad for not knowing Aunt has been treated to this abominable behavior before, but I get to make sure she is taken care of from now on. On Friday, Kevin and Karen decided they weren't available to meet, so Aunt, my mom, Bea, her sister Lynn, and Lynn's daughter Alice started calling all the bill companies, insurance companies, and all the different accounts Uncle had before passing. I even called the credit bureau to see if anything surprising was opened under Uncle's name or Aunt's name. Fortunately, nothing was a surprise and all the accounts were accounted for on our end. Unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, there is a delay in getting the death certificate and filing his life insurance because of people at Uncle's company being on vacation and unable to file the claims and paperwork. So we have to wait a little longer before we are able to schedule his funeral. On Saturday, I was able to meet Kevin at a public place and told him that I am now in charge of his mother's accounts, living trust, living will, and basically everything in her life. He shocked me by being docile the entire time I was talking. He and I were as close as siblings for the first 18 years of our lives, but drifted apart due to me going to college and both of us starting our own lives. I told him that he really messed up here and I am not going to allow this behavior anymore. I also told him that I have no qualms calling Adult Protective Services or the police on him or his sister if their behaviors do not straighten up. He surprised me again by telling me that he needs to change his spending habits and attitude and is starting to understand that everything he was doing was uncalled for. He even said he understood why he wasn't getting any money. Now, I wasn't born yesterday, so I heard what he was saying and will hope for the best where Kevin is concerned, but plan for the worst. Since Karen was not able to be there, I told Kevin to get Karen on the phone and put it on speaker since we were outside a coffee shop. Kevin started to say that I was in charge of their mother's accounts and Karen interrupted and started yelling, "How dare you take away my money from me? Those are my accounts, and I deserve..." I took Kevin's phone and hung up on her. She tried to call back several times, but I declined all the calls. She finally gave up after about 5 minutes. I told Kevin that it is now up to him to relay the basic information to Karen, and if she wants to call me and speak to me like an adult, to give her my phone number. I knew this was not the end, but it felt good hanging up on her several times. Now for the latest piece of drama for today. Today, the Social Security check went through from my aunt's account, and for whatever reason, my uncle's check from October went to his account instead of aunt's. Before we could go to the bank to see what we needed to do to transfer the funds, someone accessed Uncle's account and tried to withdraw all the funds. Luckily, we froze his account with the bank, and we attempted to ask who tried to take money out of his account. The bank said that until they have the death certificate, they can't release any of this information to us. I called Kevin and hinted that someone tried to hack into Uncle's account and steal money. He sounded genuinely shocked, and even checked his own account to see if anyone tried to also get into his account. I asked him for Karen's number and called her, where I also hinted the same to her. She started the call sounding arrogant, and I started talking about how concerned I was about everything that is happening, and that I am going to tell the bank to call the police so we can file charges. Her voice started to shake when I mentioned getting the police involved because the bank said they would release the information to me when a death certificate is provided. She was like, "Oh, yeah, you should do that." Then I reminded her that stealing from the bank is actually a federal crime, and I hope they add on the charges of financial elder abuse on top of the federal charge. It took a while for her to answer, but her voice was shaking even more than before. I asked how her husband was getting along in the Navy and asked after her newborn baby girl, but she suddenly had to hang up the phone. At this point, I don't think anything she will do is going to surprise me, but I am looking forward to making that final decision to get the police involved.